right, welcome back to the Game Smash podcast. As always, I'm your host, William Liberty, and with me is...
Was Muhammad Yusuf.
And today let's talk about, what we've been playing. Recently, other than playing, Persona Q and whatnot, I actually went back and rebought Guild Wars 2. And it was interesting because you may be asking, why did I rebuy this game? Well, I bought it on launch, and then I played it for a long time. I played it till around level 30, and then I didn't sign on for a really, really long time. And then I came back, and the game just told me that I apparently was hacking, and then just banned my account.
What?
And this kind of connects to why I have a lot of trouble playing MMOs, because the 3 MMOs, this same thing has happened. It's either you haven't been playing for 2 months, we've deleted your account, or the MMO just went bankrupt and just deleted itself. Or I get an email from the developer saying, I think what happened is that I was probably playing World v World, and I logged out, and I just never logged back in again. And what happens is that when you're in World v World, it counts as a slot. So technically they have an AFK player, so they're at a disadvantage. I think that might have been what happened, but I'm not sure. It's just, my luck with MMOs is not great. It's not great to say the least. So I bought it again. It was only $15. It was like a super sale. And it's still fun, and I might give it another go, a different class. And the one thing I will say, out of all the MMOs I've played, the reason why I think I like Guild Wars 2 the most is just having a dodge button. Just being able to do like a dodge roll, and it's not like one of those really crappy dodge rolls. It's like a fairly good dodge roll. It's it's satisfying. But anyway, that was what I was up to for the last couple of days. What about you, Fawaz? What you been playing?
I was playing Ninja Gaiden Sigma Plus. There we go.
Ooh, there you go.
Ninja Gaiden Sigma Plus for the PlayStation Vita. I just I busted it back out. Figured I'd I mess around with it because I really love Ninja Gaiden the series. Well, I used to love it. It's garbage now.
Yeah.
But
my friend loved Ninja Gaiden 2.
Yeah, Ninja Gaiden 2 was but there was some balancing issues with Ninja Gaiden 2 because the main dude left in the middle of the development, and it kind of shows the game felt incomplete. But I digress.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I was just playing Ninja Gaiden Sigma Plus again, just trying to complete because I bought it a long time. It was I think it was the first game I bought for my Vita.
Mm-hmm.
But I played on and off. They have they have a ton of challenges in the game. So every now and then I just whip it out, try out a few challenges, see if I can clear them. And yeah, I cleared a couple challenges. And then other than that, because fighting game tournament season has started.
Mm-hmm.
So I put I put some more time into Guilty Gear Xrd, and I'm getting better. I went to my friend's place and we practiced for a bit. They've been, because apparently Ottawa is really good at Guilty Gear.
Really? Interesting.
Not just in Canada, plus America. I mean, obviously we don't hold a candle to Japan, but
yeah.
In North America, apparently Ottawa is really good. So I just went and I played with my friends, and they just they gave me some tips, told me what tell me what I should be doing more.
Yeah, some pointers and stuff like that.
Yeah. So it was cool. It was fun. Yeah. So those are the 2 games I've been playing.
Yeah, with me, I've just been practicing more with Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. And what?
Who do you play in that game?
Me?
Yeah,
I feel kind of bad because I'm clearly playing one of the overpowered boss characters a lot. Margaret. I play Margaret a lot. Just because I like the fact that she has like a spear throw and she has a grapple and she has a lot in her kit.
Okay.
And I love the fact that her all-out attack is like a teleport behind.
Yeah.
Because when I'm playing against my friend, who isn't the greatest at fighting games, but he's pretty good, it really ticks him off whenever I do that, because I always psych him out, and it's really fun. But yeah, that's you got Guilty Gear. I'm working on Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. I got a long way to go before I'm actually before I can stop whiffing throws and stuff like that. One day. But anyway, let's dive into some news. So we discussed, a lot of Evolve stuff. So now the biggest question people are talking about is will Evolve be this year's Titanfall? Will it be the game that gets really, really hyped and is multiplayer focused, and then it just kind of just sizzles out? So what are your thoughts on this, Fawaz? What do you think is going to happen with Evolve after all this?
Okay. Just real quick, I wanna yesterday, not yesterday, on our last podcast, I went on a long rant about Evolve's DLC. But there's one thing I wanted to, I forgot to mention it last week because I guess I was so angry it slipped my mind. But one thing to give the developers credit for is that they've said that all the downloadable maps and modes are gonna be free.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, because they were they really don't want to split up the community.
Mm-hmm.
So all the maps and all the modes are gonna be free. So you'll never be in a situation where you're with a bunch of friends and they want to play on this map and you're screwed because you haven't bought it yet. So I gotta give them credit for that. Anyway, in regards to the question, excuse me.
Yep.
In regards to the question, I don't know why. I don't think so. I don't think Evolve will be this year's Titanfall because first of all, the expectations aren't. I mean, people. I think because it's been a year that people have forgotten how high the expectations were for Titanfall.
Yeah.
You're talking about the first person shooter from the guys who made Call of Duty what it is today.
Yeah.
So
the good Call of Duty. Yeah.
And set sales records. Revolutionize the first-person genre and all that shit. People were expecting the second coming of Call of Duty 4 here. So, Evolve has much lower expectations. I mean, this is still the next game from the guys who brought us Left 4 Dead. But I don't think anyone is realistically expecting Evolve to come out and do 10 million copies and revolutionize the first-person genre. But then I think also just by their very design, Evolve is less because Titanfall is relatively easy to pick up and play.
Yeah.
It's got the Call of Duty DNA. But Evolve is at least from what I've seen, it's a very difficult game to learn.
Mm-hmm. And I think the biggest difference is that in some ways it is kind of like a cooperative game. Teamwork is very vital. Yes. Whereas I found after watching, gameplay of Titanfall, I found a lot of times where it's this is turning into Call of Duty where it's you could just one person can just be really, really good and carry the team.
Yeah. But with Evolve, it's a team-based thing. So I think what's gonna happen with Evolve is that it's gonna come out, and there's gonna be a decent amount of launch hype, but nothing too crazy. And then a few people will drop off, but I think it's gonna have a very consistent. I think Evolve is gonna have a very consistent community.
Yeah.
Because it seems like the type of game that rewards it rewards you for putting time into it, because each class has very little. In fact, each character in each class has very little nuances and all this stuff that you actually need to practice and get better with. So I feel like it's not gonna have a huge community. It's not gonna have a Call of Duty size community, but it's gonna have a very consistent community. So I don't think it's going to be a flop. I think it's going to do exactly what everyone I think it's going to deliver on everything it's promised.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what I think. Yeah.
I think it's going to do pretty well. I don't think it's going to be it's going to, break charts or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to do well. And honestly, I feel like it's just I enjoy games more as a cooperative experience than a competitive one. I know there is the competitive aspect to it because it's one player's playing as the monster, but I do like the idea of just 4 characters fighting against one big giant monster.
Yeah,
it's actually
the one thing that does worry me though is that the main mode, the hunt mode, the impression I've gotten is that when a monster plays that mode correctly, it's not very fun for the hunters because you're running around, because most of the time you don't actually see the monster. If you're playing against a good monster, half the time you're not going to see it, which is fun for the monster because he's playing really stealthily and he's trying to avoid the hunters. But I'm not sure if it'll be fun for the hunters. That's the one thing that worries me about the game. But I have faith in Turtle Rock, and they're going to be patching the game. So if if they see little tweaks that they need to do here or there that needs to make the game more fun for both
Yeah.
parties, I'm sure they'll pull it off. But yeah, that's pretty much my
Yeah. Well, that's best of luck to them, and even after all this kind of BS with the DLC, it's like I still think it's overall going to be a good game. Like I still think
same
that.
here. Same here.
And moving on from that, we had the Microsoft Windows 10 event, and it actually had some video game related stuff. It did. Surprisingly. Well, when you sent me the link, I was like, "There's video games? Really? Okay." So they announced. You probably will have a better time explaining this, but they had some demonstrations of some VR technology that they're working on. They talked about cross-platform gaming,
Yes.
and then they talked about streaming from the Xbox One to a computer. So, well, let's start with this VR stuff. So what do you like? I guess we haven't really talked about what we thought about VR in general and Oculus Rift. I guess it's okay, but I guess the big thing about it is that like it's the helmet, it's the goggle set that you put on your head. Like, no one's gonna take you seriously when you put that thing on. Like, you look like a doofus when you have that thing on. I mean, I will say though that from what I've gathered, it can really make an experience immersive, which is kind of cool. But you still look silly wearing the thing. But what do you think about that, Fawaz?
I'm indifferent at the moment. See, after the Wiimote and Kinect,
Yeah.
I'm going to wait. I'm not getting excited for any more revolutionary, quote unquote, revolutionary controllers until they've given me a reason to be excited about them. So at the moment, I'm completely indifferent. Whenever I see a headline with VR, I just ignore it until I see something that's until something that genuine. I'm not giving them the benefit of the doubt anymore. It's pretty much my point. Because I did it with the Wiimote, I did it with Kinect, and both of them ended up being fads. So I'm just not even going to bother with VR until someone gives me a reason to. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can see VR being if somebody, like, I've seen obviously a lot of people like doing the horror games with the VR sets, right? But it's like a lot of it is the same kind of formula, and I'm just waiting for someone to take a VR game, like horror game, but add like just a lot more to it, like not just being scared by actually turning around or something like that, or I don't know. But yeah, I guess that's sort of like my crux with VR at the moment. It's like, it's okay for what it is now, but it could be a lot better.
Yeah.
Like, it really could. And then, of course, they talked about cross-platform gaming. So what do you think about this? Because this is like this is kind of like it's, PC Master Race versus the consoles. Like, these are two communities that don't exactly like each other very much.
No, they don't. Well, this isn't the first time Microsoft have tried to do crossplay between the PC
Shadowrun
and their console. Yes, Shadowrun.
Yep.
Oh my god.
that went places.
That game sucked. But what's it called? I think cross-platform play is a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure because, like I said, this isn't the first time they've done it. I'm not sure if it's going. I'm not sure how far they're gonna go with it. And I think there's especially since it's like Fable and it's not like an FPS, so you don't have that whole controller versus mouse and keyboard argument. But I don't know if it.
Well, speaking of the controller versus mouse argument, they did actually bring an important point. So somebody did bring that out. Like what there's a problem with people who have like the mouse that they can turn faster than anyone with a controller or something like that, and they can be more precise. And their argument was, well, what we can do and what we're thinking about doing is actually having game modes where it can just if you are annoyed by that, you can have a mode that can only play you play against console players, or there's a mode where PC players play against other PC players, or if you really don't give a crap, then you can just play in a mode that has everyone. So I think that's kind of an interesting idea to have. So that's
an interesting idea to have.
Yeah, so that there's different modes for people that are really anal about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then for people who just don't give a crap and just want to play with their friend who has a PC, then there's modes for that. And I feel like that's a smart way to approach it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I do like the idea of not splintering the community because
Hmm.
like Guilty Gear Xrd, for example, is cross-platform play between the PS3 and the PS4, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's really cool. So I do like the idea of not splintering the community. We'll see how far they go with it. If it's just a fad that ends with Fable Legends and probably
Yeah.
like
It,
Fable
it, it
Five.
really it really doesn't help that the game that they were showcasing was Fable Legends. I was just like, he couldn't find any other game to you sell this with.
Yeah, yeah. But
uh,
it's I think it's a good idea. It's a step in the right direction. There we go.
mhm.
Mhm.
And finally, they talked about streaming to your Windows 10 computer, which seemed kind of interesting.
That is
What?
pretty. That is pretty. So I didn't read too much into this one. How exactly does that work?
Well, it's kind of like it seems like you'll be able to stream like your actual gameplay footage to your computer, and also it's kind of related, but it also seems like they're giving players the ability to edit clips. Like they can record their own content, similar to what the PlayStation 4 was doing, and edit it and stuff like that. What the guy did in the video was he took a clip of a creeper exploding in Minecraft, and he was like editing it and stuff like that.
Okay.
So it seems like they're trying to push the whole like streaming and recording kind of shareability of the console along
Okay.
with the PC as well, which I guess is good. And because obviously PlayStation really got on the ball on that right away, but I found that as far as the whole recording consoles thing, like having that built in, I found that a lot of people who already have the equipment just didn't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like I already have this, it works out fine. I'm just going to keep using this instead of using the official PlayStation method or the official Microsoft method. That was the interesting thing I found that happened because when I first heard about it, I was like, oh wow, this is going to change Let's Plays altogether. And then I just saw everyone just go, well, I've gotten used to this system. I'm just going to use this.
Yeah.
So, but I honestly, out of everything they announced, it was mostly the cross-platform gaming stuff that kind of piqued my interest the most.
Yeah.
But
Same here. Same here.
but other than that, oh well. But some interesting stuff nonetheless. At least they're expanding on the product, and hopefully they'll remember that game consoles need games. It's not just about Netflix.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on from that, Evo 2015, we got the roster of all the games that I guess are being played. So I got the list right here for Waz. Are you ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So we got Ultra Street Fighter 4. We got Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U. We got Guilty Gear Xrd. There you go. We got Killer Instinct. We got Mortal Kombat X. Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. Yes. And Super Smash Brothers Melee. And then finally Tekken 7. So these
You,
seem to
you
be the games.
you missed one. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Of course, Marvel. You can't forget about Marvel.
Can't forget about Marvel. So yeah, the list is. I think this is a very good list. They covered just about everything. Street Fighter 4 and Marvel 3. Well, Street Fighter 4 is going to be there.
Yeah, it
until
has to
Street
be
Fighter
there.
until Street Fighter 5 comes out. Like
Yeah.
that's just standard. Marvel 3 is a bit of a surprise because everyone talks about how that game is dying. And we'll see
Hmm.
how well it does at Evo this year. It did really well last year. We'll see how well it does this year.
Yeah,
Super
yeah,
Smash Brothers, Melee, and Wii U.
yeah.
That's Melee was gonna be there. I'm excited to see Wii U.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited that they have both because there's a classic feel with Melee,
Yes.
and then of course the new version which I have is
Yes.
it's fun in a different way.
Yes.
They're both different games. But I'm glad they have both because
Mhm.
because I just like Smash being in these kind of things because Smash
Yeah.
is just a fun game.
Yeah. Then you have your anime games with Guilty Gear
Yep.
and Persona 4.
Yes, I'm excited to see some Persona 4 Arena Ultimax. Maybe I can learn more about the characters from watching people who know what they're actually doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you got Mortal Kombat X, which isn't even out yet, but But it has a pretty solid scene, and it wasn't at last year. Injustice was at last year's Evo, so I guess they're rotating NetherRealm games.
Yeah,
and then you've got Killer Instinct and Tekken 7, which isn't even stateside yet.
I don't think it was stateside yet.
No,
Yeah.
But they need a 3D game every year, so it's Tekken 7. They usually rotate between Tekken 7 and Soul Calibur. And since we haven't had a Soul Calibur in like 5 years,
yeah,
I guess
it's been a while since we had a Soul Calibur. Think about it. But the one thing I will say,
all in all, a good list.
What?
I said all in all, a pretty good list.
Yeah,
nice balance.
The one thing I will say is that it is kind of interesting that because I'm kind of confused. You probably know more specifics. When exactly does Evo 2015 start? Like
July 17th to 19th.
Yeah,
at the Paris Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas.
Well, there you go. You got that. So I kind of find it interesting that Mortal Kombat X is going to be on the list because I guess the game is coming out April, so that gives people like what, maybe 2 months of practice time. Like compared to like comparing that to the other games that have actually been out for a really long time, like Killer Instinct, Guilty Gear, or Persona 4.
This is true, but with Mortal Kombat X, it's gonna come out on April for everyone. Yeah. So everyone is going to show up to Evo with the same amount of practice time.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I get that, but I just find it kind of interesting how it's like, compared to all these other games, it's like it's only having 2 months. Well, I'm interested to see how that affects the actual, how people are playing the game.
Yeah, I mean the game. They'll probably be the characters that win that do very well at Mortal Kombat at Evo this year, probably not the characters that will be doing very well at Mortal Kombat at Evo next year. Okay. Because like you said, it's going to be very early. People will still be figuring stuff out and stuff like that. But they needed another Realms game, and Injustice would have been 2 years old at by the time Evo comes around, whereas Mortal Kombat would be like 3 months old. So it was an easy choice, I guess.
Yeah, and you know what? I guess that does make sense in general.
Yeah,
I just thought it was kind of an interesting aspect.
It is. Yeah.
So actually, so overall, you're pretty excited for Evo this year?
I'm pretty excited for Evo this year. I can't wait, man. Like usually, I only watch Marvel because that's usually the only game I give 3 shits about. But this year, I'm definitely gonna watch Guilty Gear. I'm probably gonna watch Mortal Kombat, and Marvel. So 3 games. Yeah.
Me, if I do watch it, it's definitely Persona 4 or probably the Super Smash ones. Especially since I heard like really ridiculous stories about Smash tournaments. Did you hear the story about how an amiibo got to like 3rd place in a Smash tournament? Like an actual amiibo.
No.
You didn't hear about that? That was somebody entered in a level 50 Fox amiibo as a joke. As like, hey, let's put this amiibo in, let's see how far it gets. And it actually beat 3 of the players. And almost it got to like semifinals, and finally it got beaten.
Wow.
It was because I guess the AI was it was really smart, like to the point where it was outplaying the human players.
Damn.
Oh, it was great. It was fantastic to watch, especially since the reactions of the players were just like, "How is this happening?"
That's pretty embarrassing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those guys, their reactions were priceless. They were embarrassed, to say the least. But anyway, moving on from that, we got more news about Pokken, Nintendo's new strategy. Not new strategy, new fighter game, kind of.
Yes.
So, what do you think about this, Fawaz? Pokken.
I'm intrigued because I watched a couple of videos, and it's an arena fighter, which we don't have a lot of.
Mm-hmm.
It uses a similar system to the Naruto fighting games.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's being developed by Namco.
Yeah.
The dudes that made Tekken. So I'm intrigued. I watched some gameplay, and I can't lie, it looks a little boring. I'm not even going front, but it's still really, really, really early. And like I said, it's something different. We haven't had an arena type fighting game for a very long time. Other than the Naruto games, we haven't had arena type fighting games for a while. So it's intriguing. For those that don't know, they announced. I'm going to
it's Suicune. It's Suicune.
That's how you pronounce it.
Yep.
Okay, Suicune, Pikachu, because didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
And Gardevoir. So yeah.
Well, the one thing I will say about this, just sorry to cut you off, but the one thing I will say about this is that I've always kind of liked the idea of just being able to control a Pokemon, because in the Pokemon games, it's all like turn based. So you do your move and it hits, and then he does his move and it hits. And I always loved the idea of, like, I want to control the Pokemon. I want to be able to do sick dodges, grabs and throws, and I want to do sick combos on Pikachu. I just beat the shit out of him. I want to be able to do that. So I'm kind of excited for this in some ways, because being able to do that is definitely an experience in itself. But what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I am excited too. And another thing is that this is a trend that Nintendo has started developing, where because people criticize Nintendo, rightfully so, for not having a lot of new IPs. But they seem to have they've taken a very interesting route, in that they take their classic IPs and they give them to third-party developers who take those games in completely different directions. It hasn't always worked out. There was that shitty Metroid, the other M.
Oh yeah.
Team Ninja, and then there was the Hyrule Warriors that just came out recently. That was
Well, Hyrule Warriors is okay. I mean, it wasn't like mind blowing or anything.
Yeah. So hopefully this does well, because it's a very interesting idea, and I'm just like, when I saw it, I thought I was dreaming, because it was like a Pokemon fighting game.
Yeah. What? If somebody had told me that, like, dude, 2015, there's gonna be a Pokemon fighting game, and I'm just like, no, shut up. It's such an odd concept, because it's odd, but it also kind of makes sense, because, like, especially in the show, it's literally...
Correct. It does make sense.
Yeah. I mean, like, literally, even if you think about the show, like, it's just 1v1 matches. Like, and that's, like, a staple of most fighting games, so it does kind of make sense. And I like the idea, like, from the footage that they've shown, that there's a little bit of team-based stuff, where you can call in, like, another Pokemon to do a move. I hope that's a little bit more customizable, because that would be awesome if you had, like, a selection of different assists that you could choose from.
The impression I've gotten is that you do.
Yeah.
It's also, just because I don't think we mentioned this yet, it's also an arcade game, but it doesn't use the regular arcade cabinet controller. It uses a very specific, like, handheld controller, and they said that they did this to make it more accessible.
Yeah.
Because Pokemon has a wider appeal than Tekken, so they did this to make it more accessible. So I'm definitely gonna be keeping our eyes on this. And looking forward to maybe Pokken will be at Evo 2016.
Oh, wouldn't that be something? As long as Mewtwo is in there, because Mewtwo is the badass motherfucker. Like, he's the best. But anyway, I just wanted to ask you, referring to the arcade sticks, I've had this fight with my friend I'm trying to get into fighting games. Is like, are the arcade sticks just naturally better than the actual controller, like the basic controller?
That's a tough one. I think they are. I think they are, because it's easier to hit very, very specific motions with the arcade, because the stick is... It's very easy to hit specific motion. It's easier to hit specific motions with the stick than it is with the pad. But I don't think they are necessary.
Okay.
There are a lot of fighting game players who plays like top 8 at Evo using controllers. Wolfcrone is the first one that comes to mind. People play Marvel vs. Capcom on regular controllers. Yeah. So, like, It's not necessary. The reason why I bought an arcade stick was because my joysticks kept getting spoiled because I was using them for fighting games so much. They
kept on breaking.
They kept breaking, right? So I was like, I'd lost like $360 controllers, and I was like, I could have just bought an arcade stick with the money I used to replace all these controllers. So then I bought an arcade stick. It took me a couple months to get the hang of it, but it's good. And another benefit that it has is, because of the 8-button layout, it's easier to hit all the buttons when you need. It's easier to hit all the buttons, and it's easier to hit specific combinations of buttons.
Right.
But on the flip side, controllers have button binding, so it comes down to personal preference, in my opinion.
Yeah. Because my friend was complaining how when we were playing Persona Arena Ultimax, there was a specific move that he was trying to do, and he couldn't do it like. He couldn't do it confident. He couldn't do it in a way that he could always do it. Like he would
was
like.
Was it Kanji's command grab?
I know it was Ken. It was Ken and Koro-chan's. It was like lightning special. Like he does like a special, but I heard the command grab is also really hard as well.
No, honestly, it's just practice. But from what I've heard, I don't know too much because I don't follow Persona very much. But I've heard that Ken is. Because he's two characters, right?
Yeah. He's actually a really interesting character because you control Koro-chan, and he kind of you can send him like jump in and do a spinning dash move, or you can pull him back. And of course you've got like this 6 spear that can kind of drag people in towards you and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I guess you are right. It is kind of a preference thing, and I don't know. Maybe one day I might be getting one of my own. Who knows? Who knows?
But yeah, I've heard that Ken he's a difficult character just in general, because there's a character like him in all of Arxis games. Yeah. Because in Blaze Blue you have Carl, who is also a puppet character, and then in Guilty Gear you have Eddie, Zato. Yeah. Who's also a puppet character, who's like 2 characters. You control both, and they're all very difficult to play. So I think it's just practice. Your friend just needs to practice. Because even with a stick, there's stuff that's it's just hard.
Yeah, I was looking at one of the like combos for one of the characters. I think it was Yu Narakumi, and it's like a freaking like 12-button input. I was just like, nope, never gonna use that move. Not in a million years. But anyway, so I think we're going to wrap it up here. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And if you leave a comment, we'll make sure to answer your question on the next podcast. And as always, this was William Liberty and...
was Muhammad Yusuf.
And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.